All right. Well, thank you. Good evening, everyone. It's the afternoon here. I'm in Houston, Texas, in the USA. So, good evening to you. And I'm so glad you all took the time to invest in yourselves and to come to this. Like mentioned, I go by Dr. PJ, and it's really my passion to really help people to become better versions of themselves. But not only that, but by helping you to find elements that help you to evolve and to move into ascension, right? So, we always should be in the mindset of how do I become better? How do I grow in a positive way? And so today I just want to talk to you about personal growth and self improvement, which is something that no matter if it's career wise, social wise, in your personal life, you always want to be at a point where you're always open to learning and you're always open to growing because we only get this life. And so to be able to be in that aspect where you feel yourself being different than you were before, because each of us have, we all have our own race. Sometimes people think that we compete against each other, but really the only person you are competing against is you, your past self. So, with that, when we talk about personal growth, it really does matter. Growth is about progress and not perfection. So sometimes people, I know they want to get everything perfect, and most of the time you're not going to get everything perfect, but you should always be in a position where you're trying to progress to the next level, progress to something else. And so when the world is evolving, and we know, and we have these conversations all the time with my friends, like, where is the time going? Why is time moving so fast? But you will find that when time is moving, and especially we're in this global world, right? I'm in Houston and you're way across the ocean, and we're still able to connect in real time. And so we live in this world with that. We have to recognize then our ability to be able to adapt is our superpower. So think about that as you think about how can I personally grow in my professional life, in my personal life, in my social life. My superpower is being able to adapt. And so personal development isn't just about your success, it's about two things: purpose and fulfillment. When we talk about purpose, purpose is basically what were you created for, right? Why are you here? Why are you here on earth at this time in this body? What is your purpose? And then fulfillment is what is your passion? How can you pursue things that make you authentically happy, right? So when we think about purpose, what do others say about you versus fulfillment? Who are you? Right? So I wanted you to begin to think about that. Purpose and fulfillment, they go hand in hand, but you have to understand each of both of them in order to move forward when we in this conversation that we're having in personal growth and self improvement. Also, with purpose is what do you feel that you will put on earth to do versus fulfillment is what do you accomplish, right? So think about those two things when we think about purpose, the reason why we were created. What do others say about us? And what do we feel that we will put on earth to do? And that should help us find our fulfillment, which is who are we and what do we accomplish? So I want to share my screen real quick. Okay, so you see this car. This is a Porsche 918 Spider. What makes this car so unique? First of all, let's think about one, it's a car, right? What are the common things that cars have have? So in the chat, I want you to utilize the chat. So answer that question for me. We see that this is a car, but what makes it a car? Right? All cars are going to have four wheels. They're going to have a windshield. They're going to have a motor. What are some other things that makes this image a car? And that's a commonality. But what makes it different is that this particular car, a Porsche 918 Spider, one, there's only 918 of these made in the world. And it is the fastest accelerating car in the Porsche lineup, right? It can go from 0 to 100 in 2.6 seconds. It has twin electric motors, and look at the power that it has. right? So look at this car and visualize this car. We're going to use this as an example. It to be a car, right? I'm just a car to get from one destination to the other. But what's unique about this car? The uniqueness of this car is that it can accelerate in 2.6 seconds. This car, yes, is made like other cars, but it has certain qualifications, right? It has certain skills. It has a purpose because not all cars can accelerate from 2.6, from 0 to 100 in 2.6. But this car is built to do that. So that makes it this purpose. Even though it may have some of the same type of characteristics as other cars, this car is particularly designed to do a certain thing, and that's to go fast. And so that's why I want you to realize about you. We're all humans. We all have two eyes, we have a face, we have all these different characteristics that we have in common, but we are built different. We are created different specifically for a purpose. So let that sink into you as far as thinking about that car. And if we line that car up, if we wanted that car to pull, I don't know, pull another car. That car's not built to do that, right? That car is built to go fast. So therefore, if it's built to go fast, what environments would that car be in? It would be like on a racetrack. It would be used for certain different environments opposed to a car or maybe a truck that is built to pull things, to move things. So if that car is sitting, or if that car is being used to, the 918 is being used to pull something, it's not operating in its purpose, right? And if it's not operating in its purpose, the acceleration that it's built to have is not being used. So it's not being effective by utilizing its skills if it's not put in the right situation. So I want you to carry that as we go into when we talk about personal growth and self awareness, the first thing we need to understand is self awareness, right? Knowing yourself. So just like that car, knowing that that car is built to accelerate, is a fast accelerating car, it needs to be put in the right situation. So, what are your values? What are your strengths? And also, what are your weaknesses? That's the foundation of growth. So, when we're talking about what is my purpose? How can I fulfill that purpose so that I can grow to be the best version of myself? The first thing you need to know is, who am I? What are my values? What are my strengths? What makes me uniquely me? Second is you want to build a growth mindset. So growth is all about progress, how we mentioned earlier, right? It's not about perfection, but it's about progress, getting better each time. As an individual, you're not competing against other people, you're competing against your past self, so your personal best. So that is what we're supposed to be growing. So was I better than I was last year? That should be my mission. Let me make sure that I'm better than I was last year because I'm developing my skills. I'm knowing my value. I know what I can bring. I'm learning more things to develop my skills, to be better, and to put myself in the environment that serves me the most. Also, when we're thinking about growing, because it is a progression and not perfection, is how do you perceive challenges? Think about that. How do you perceive challenges? Do you think challenges or failures, are they lessons or are they losses? So when you fail, are you getting the lesson from it or are you considering it a loss? So when you're building your growth mindset, you know yourself now, you know what your strengths and values and what you were created for and what gives you fulfillment, right? What makes you happy because this is what you're accomplishing. You want to be in the growth mindset. How do I look at what comes my way? Am I learning from my failures to be better the next time or am I considering it a loss? Next, number 3, you want to set goals that actually stick. I'm sure you've already heard about people talk about SMART goals, right? Make your goals specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, in time, right? Putting a time frame to it. But also, when you're going after those goals, make sure that if it's a big dream that you have, that you learn how to do it, break it up in small chunks, right? We always talk about the saying over here, at least, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? So you can't accomplish everything all at one time. But when you set those goals, make those smart goals. How, okay, here's my goal. My goal is to be this. My goal is to be the fastest car, right? In fast accelerating car in the world. How do I get there? And then you want to make small goals to get to that ultimate goal. That's how you do that. And then also create daily habits. A lot of times it's great to be motivated. Great. Yes, I'm motivated to go out and be the most accelerating car. That's great. But what are your habits in order to do that? So that goes back to when we're breaking down those goals, we have our big goals, we have our big dreams that we want to accomplish, but how are we going to get there? And how are we being realistic on getting those goals? What smart goals, what small accomplishments are we putting ourselves in on that track to get to the big one? And then make sure that's a daily habit. Because if you're trying to run a race, right, you can't get there by, oh, I'm going to be able to make a 100-yard dash in 10 seconds today. No, there's going to be training that you have to do. So you make it a daily habit to train yourself, to learn things. And so with those habits, then that leads you to get to your goal and that helps you to set your goals. So we have self awareness, knowing yourself, building a growth mindset, right? How do you handle those challenges, learning from your failures, and then setting goals to get to your ultimate dream. Then next we go to self-care. And self-care to me is always one of the most important things. A lot of times we get involved in what we want to do and then we get burnt out. And if we get burnt out, and we don't take care of ourselves, then we can't get to our ultimate goal. So, one thing in us in growing is knowing ourselves, yes, but taking care of ourselves. And so, self care is an action. That action is how do we preserve our mental well being? How do we physically take care of ourselves? So, I always tell people, I actually did a speech the other day and we talked about self-esteem and self-love and self-care. And when we talked about self-care, I told them just to take a deep breath. Because when we talk about self-care, that's more of, the finer things is what I consider, right? The massages, the relaxation. So when you take that deep breath, that's that self-care. And what you're doing is saying that I'm not going to let myself get burnt out because if I'm burnt out, I can't reach my goal. So how do I take care of myself? And one of those things in taking care of yourself is setting boundaries. So when we think about a fence, when someone puts up a fence, what are they doing? They're protecting something that's inside that fence. Why? Because they perceive that as value. So I want you also to do the same thing. No is not a bad word, right? No is not a bad word, but it's a protector. It's helping you to say, you know what? I I would love the opportunity to do that, but my plate is full. I cannot handle that. And if I can't come to something fully with myself, then it's not going to pan out. I'm not going to enjoy it. And you might not get the best of what I can offer because I'm burnt out, because I haven't taken care of myself. I want you to think about a cup. When you have a cup, you can't give anything from a cup that's empty, right? You can't pour from an empty cup. You pour from the overflow so that you have all that you need and then you can give that to other people. The last point I want to make is the power of your circle. When we are growing and improving ourselves, it's not just about us, but it's about the people who we surround ourselves with. There's a statistic that says you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So if you're spending time with people who what you may consider are not as smart, not as gifted as you are still the average of those five people. So, what that says is that you want to surround yourself with people who are smarter than you, who challenge you, who uplift you, who may have accomplishments that you're still trying to achieve because you are the average of those five. There's a saying that we have here is that your net worth is your net work, right? Your net worth is your net work. So the people that you surround yourself with help you to go farther and help you in this journey that you're on to improve yourself and to grow. So I'm going to review the 5 things to self growth, to personal growth and self improvement that we talked about. We talked about self awareness, knowing exactly who you are, right? The values that you bring, the strengths that you have, and also those weaknesses, because that sets the foundation. That lets you know this is where I need to start in order for me to grow. Then you want to build your growth mindset. Know how you handle challenges, learn from failures, right? So that you can, okay, this didn't happen this time. I understand what I did wrong. Now, the next time, I can do it better and get it right. 3, you want to set goals that stick, realistic goals, and have them break them off in small pieces that are able for you to accomplish to get to that larger goal. Then number 4 is self-care, making sure that you are preserving your value, preserving your mental well-being so that you can offer and grow altogether. And then 5, the power of your circle, surrounding yourself with people who uplift you and who also challenge you. So, what I want you to take away from this is that you need to take action, but remember to stay consistent, right? Small, consistent efforts will compound over time. We talked about those small goals. Think about that is determining your daily actions. Whatever you want to be, make sure that you're doing something each day to get to that goal, to get to that growth. And then realize that you're going to track your progress. You're going to celebrate those wins, right? Those small goals you have. Hey, you got that one goal. It may not have, you may still be on track to get to that larger goal, but that small goal, let's celebrate those wins because it's a journey on that way to that big goal, on our way to the growth that we want to be, on that way to that self improvement that we want to be. Celebrate those wins. And then also understand life happens, right? So there may be some times where we might get off track, but know how to effectively pivot so that, okay, I might not be able to do this today, but let me go over here and work on this and keep going. You want, that's the key to growth and self improvement is to keep going, not to stop, but to keep moving and to keep going. So, on your growth journey, I want you to think about this. What small action can you take today toward your ultimate growth? Think about that. What small action can you take today toward your ultimate growth?
Some responses already coming in. Douglas says he'll try keeping to his daily routine towards the main goal. Michael talks about consistency. Ebuka says building the growth mindset. So to give an even more practical approach, so what I try to do is I have this notion where I feel like everything I do on a daily basis should be reminiscent of where I intend to be in life or in future. So if I want to be, let's say, an employer of labor tomorrow, what am I doing today that is edging me closer to that goal? Okay, if I want to lose weight or I want to be physically fit, what small incremental steps am I consciously taking every day that would edge me closer to my goal, right? So is it counting maybe 5,000 steps daily? Does that get me closer to my goal? I'm trying to learn Spanish, just to learn an other foreign language. Okay, can I take out 5 to 15 minutes daily before bed and just take Spanish classes on Duolingo? And I do this consistently every day. So yes, I would like to also hear from others. So some more practical approaches that you would want to implement or that you already implement.
Let's say for example, if like let's say I want to lose my weight, I can be able to check my diet. Let's say the kind of food I eat and the quantity. So I think that will be helpful to me. So that's what I have to say.
Good.
That's great, Michael. Very good indeed. Talking about portion control. So yes, Douglas, please go ahead. Let's hear from you.
Yes, yeah, good evening, everyone. For me, I do take piano classes. So I make sure every day, no matter what, even if I'm tired, even if I'm sick, I just have to rehearse, even if it's just 15 minutes in a day, just to keep up the pace. That's for me.
Very well, very well, very well. That's impressive. Yeah, so I can see Lucy also dropped a message that she's looking to stay fit and keep a healthy weight. So Lucy, is this something you're already doing or you intend to do? Do you want to share your plan with us? Okay, she further says that she has been learning new recipes on low-fat meals. So yes, that's definitely the right way to go. And
I love
Ebuka says that in order to learn data analysis, I make sure to dedicate 30 minutes to 1 hour daily to learn on the data camp I enrolled for. That's wonderful. That's absolutely beautiful. Do we have other responses? All right, Doctor, we have no more responses at this point. Can we open up the floor for questions, if you don't mind?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
I want to know what could be the issue for me not maintaining consistency in some of the things I want to do. I want to achieve some of the goals. To others, I maintain the consistency in keeping up daily, while others I find it difficult to do. Is it that I don't have passion for those things, or what could be the problem? What could be the issue?
So on a general level, from what I'm hearing you say, there's certain things that you stay consistent on, and there's other things that you want to be consistent, but you kind of you struggle with that. And so my question then would be to you, why do you feel you stay consistent? Those things that you stay consistent with, why are you so consistent with those? Is it out of need that you stay consistent with those things? Is there accountability associated with your consistency with those things? And then also, I would ask you too, are you doing too much? Is it because the first things that you're consistent with take up all your time and you just don't have enough time for the other ones? So that's what I would ask you. So answer that first question. Why do you think you stay consistent with the things that you stay consistent with?
I think the other things I do take much of the time, and before I could know, I get exhausted.
Mm,
Couldn't meet up with others that I have.
yeah.
That's
Yeah, and that's a lot of people that we want to do other things and we may have goals. For instance, for me, I had this job that took up a lot of my time, but then my passion was writing books. And so what I started to realize was that I was not having enough time to get my books written. I would set goals for them to work on the weekends, but by the time I got to the weekend, I was so tired. And so what that meant to me is that I was not setting boundaries, healthy boundaries in order to achieve my goal. So what I had to do then is look at my job. What is necessary for me to do my job? And what am I doing extra for my job that I can cut back on? Because at the end of the day, you remember when I said you can't pour from an empty cup. So I was trying to write with an empty cup and it wasn't working. So I had to go back and realize, let me set the boundaries on my job and the time that I'm giving with that job so that when I get to the weekend, when it's my time to write, I am fulfilled. I have the energy and I can think clearly in order to do that. So I want to encourage you to look at that as how can you set those boundaries with the things that you're consistent with to free up some more time to begin to incorporate those other things that I think is probably your passion. A lot of times we put our passion on the back burner. So, how can you set those boundaries to free up time so that you're not approaching those things that you're passionate about, which give you fulfillment with emptiness?
Thank you, Doc. I understand.
You're welcome.
All right, that was very beautiful. Honestly, even I myself, I feel like you've answered questions and made recommendations for activities that I should definitely keep at bay and set appropriate boundaries for. I try, but then in some instances I make excuses. I say, oh, it's inevitable. Oh, it can't wait, and all of that. But now I know I can definitely do better. So yes, do we have any more questions so that we can quickly wrap this up?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
All right,
Good
Michael, please
evening.
go ahead.
Yeah, I saw a post on one of the social media platform. Someone posted that he just got his LLB certificate, and he is going into another. He wants to read another course that is, I think, international relations and diplomacy. So someone now commented under the post that instead of going for that particular course, why wouldn't he just go for a tech related course? Then so that people start dropping their comments. Someone said it is not everybody that can make it in the tech environment or in tech field. So I want to know, is that statement valid?
It's a state valid that not everybody can make it in the tech field. I think I wouldn't consider it valid because the tech field is so broad, right? There's a lot of things that you can do in technology. And so, if that is your passion and that is, that you have a purpose, what I would advise is that one, when we talk about that power of the circle that I talked about earlier, make sure you're surrounding yourself with people who are uplifting you, right? And that people who are not being negative just for no reason. You don't want people who just tell you yes for everything. You want them to be realistic to you, but you also don't want to involve and include people or comments that just are just negative just to be negative. What I do know about the tech field, I sit on a tech board and I also have a client that is a major player in technology, and there are a lot of options in technology. That company does a lot of different things, mainly in cybersecurity, but they also have tech sales. And the people in tech sales are not really into technology, but they know how to sell. And so, because their gift is selling, then they're just selling a product. Doesn't mean that they know a lot about tech. So, what I would say to your question is no, it's not really valid because it's not specific. Find what your that's why it's so important to know who you are and what you bring to the table, because if you know who you are and you know what your values are, you can apply that pretty much to any field. So if tech field is where you want to be, then think about your value, think about your skill set, and begin to find your niche in that tech industry, and you'll be successful.
Thank you very much for your response, though. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, wonderful. So, in addition to what Doctor has said, the tech space is so broad that you can literally be anything without being a tech bro, as they are called. So, for instance, if you are good with graphics design or video editing, you can basically work for those in the tech space without necessarily knowing about tech by just offering your skills. If you are a wonderful customer service person, right? One of the previous attendees here introduced herself as a contact center agent. You can basically be the link between the customer and the tech company themselves. And to even be very specific, Michael, so just like the LLB graduate, the potential lawyer you mentioned, you can literally be a legal advisor to a tech body or someone in the tech space. I don't know if that adds up, Doctor.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. So do we have any more questions? We should be wrapping up in a couple of minutes so we can give Dr. back time. She's done a lot for us today already. So one final question, or can we wrap this up?
Good evening, everybody.
All right, good evening, Gertrude.
Okay, my question is on knowing your purpose. Doctor spoke about knowing your purpose, being self-aware, and what values you bring. Sometimes it's kind of conflicting for me. Actually, really knowing your purpose, attaining that height that you are sure that this is your purpose and this is where you are headed. I don't know if Doctor can clear me on that.
Yes.
Thank you.
So one of the things I tell people, and don't feel like you're alone. There are a lot of people that I meet, that I counsel, and they're just like, I don't know my purpose. And this is not just people who are in their 20s. I have people who are in their 50s and 60s, and they're just like, I still don't know my purpose. I started doing things only because people told me, or they were chasing money or other people or a certain social status, so they got involved in careers, but they really weren't happy, right? And so that's where that fulfillment comes in, is when you're pursuing your purpose. One, things are going to be a little bit easier for you, and then you'll have fulfillment out of it, authentic fulfillment. So when someone says, I'm not for sure what my purpose is, my number one answer is the people that are in your circle, the people that you trust, the people that love you, the people who know you best. Ask them the question, and you ask them this question: how would you describe me? If someone said my name, how would you describe me? And ask about anywhere between 3 to 5 people, how would they describe you? And then that will let you know what your purpose is. It's going to put you on your path, because it's not that you don't know your purpose. You just maybe not for sure which route, and that's what I'm hearing you say. So ask those 3 to 5 people, one at a time, differently, separately. Don't have to be all in one crowd, but ask them separately, how would you describe me? And then just take note on what each person says. And then what they say, I guarantee you, will hit with you and confirm what you're already thinking. And that's going to help you to know what your purpose is, because it's how people see you. But a lot of times we're so involved in it, we're so busy being us, that we miss things. But the people around us who love us, who care about us, who truly know us, can see things that sometimes we can't see. And so asking them, how would they describe you, will help you, and will give you confirmation on exactly what your purpose is. And then think about what you're passionate about. What makes you happy, that just gives you that authentic joy, that I just love doing this. Nobody has to ask me to do it. I'm just going to do it because I just feel it's me. It's my identity. So that would be my answer to you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That was a great response. I had to quickly pen down that question because I feel like I've narrowed down my purpose, but I don't think I've outrightly asked people how they perceive me, although sometimes people do express themselves freely. So I'm definitely going to try that out. And here's me committing myself to give feedback subsequently when I finally find that answer. Then also, like Doctor said, just for the sake of emphasis, in addition to finding purpose, what is that one thing you would gladly do without being paid for it, right? Without you getting maybe a stipend or an allowance or a fee attached to it. That could probably be where your purpose is. So yeah, so I believe that will be all. It's been almost 50 beautiful minutes since we got here. Any parting words, Doctor? Thanks.
Yeah, so thank you all. And remember just to think about your purpose. It all starts with your growth and improvement is knowing who you are. And there you can go from there. You can grow, you can figure out the ways that you want to grow. You can set those goals. You can it'll help you to build your network, and you'll learn how to take care of yourself so that you're not pouring for an empty cup, but you are going